When I used to think about night vision, I thought of people owning a set of binos like I have in my hand right here. These are my PD Pros. They are my favorite set of binocular night vision. And I have the most amount of time in the wilderness and in the darkness with this particular set of binos. But as I've grown into adulthood and I've experienced more of life, I've seen more of a need for a setup like this dual band setup that I have right over here. So today we're going to talk about a little bit of a background of my journey into night vision and why I think at the very least everybody should have some sort of thermal in their arsenal. So before we go any further, I do want to let you guys know about one of my companies, Arkayne. So Arkayne is a brand that is built upon this premise that in order to be free, we have to have teeth. We have to have the ability to remain free. So that is done by possessing military arms, gear, and supplemental equipment, and then training to a high standard with that as we build out our communities. Over at Arkayne, you can find everything from budget optics to LPVOs and rifle scopes to night vision that is helmet mounted, weapon mounted, thermal that's handheld, weapon mounted, helmet mounted, and all the accessories that you're gonna need to become defiantly free. So if you wanna support what I'm doing here, that is an amazing way that you can do that. You can buy t-shirts if your budget is smaller, but if you're looking for full out thermal systems or night vision systems, we can supply that for you as well. So consider supporting us over there. Check out the website at the very least. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter because it is full of how-tos, tech tips, and how to build out your systems around your realistic experiences and situations so that you are better prepared for anything that life throws at you. That's all I have for that. Check it out, check out the website, support us. Let's get back into the video. There's a whole lot of misconceptions when we get into the world of night vision, and it's very normal anymore to see people with rifles set up like the one that I have here. This is my 12.5-inch select fire build that is set up for daytime use, mid-range use, and also nighttime use. It's got a white light on it, as well as infrared illumination and an infrared laser. So this is a weapon that is built to be capable in the darkness. But what if I told you that being set up like this is only a small piece of the equation? And I think right now you guys are probably saying, now hold on, Jared, night vision allows you to see in the darkness. What more could you need? And you're not wrong. I mean, I love running my set of binocular night vision at night. I think it gives you an amazing capability. Night vision is pretty cool because it allows you to navigate, walk, see through glass. It's essentially like seeing like your eyes do during the day, but you're seeing that at night. You're just missing the colors and different contrasts. You're getting either a greener image, or if you're running white phosphor tubes, you're gonna end up getting a bluish hue, kind of grayish image, just void of that color. But ultimately, you're seeing very similarly to your eyesight. There's recent events that are going on in our world, and I think that it's important to kind of tie this concept together as to why I think it's just not enough to think about night vision alone. Now, before I get into those situations and world events, and before I dive any further into the topic of thermal coupled with night vision and even standalone thermal, I do want to say that this video is not about trying to get you guys to spend money on stuff you don't need. So if you're not at a place where you're financially able to, or you'd have to take out a ton of debt to do it, I don't think that getting night vision gear is probably your biggest priority. I think creating an ironclad system with your community and your family is more important first. And when we start getting that stuff checked off, then I think we start considering getting into night vision and thermal. So let's talk about these world events that we just saw. Well, we had an escaped convict in Pennsylvania that for weeks was running around in the wilderness of Pennsylvania. This is a murderer that was convicted of murder and was held in prison, who ended up escaping prison and then being on the run. So the crazy part about this entire situation is we have a ton of customers in Pennsylvania. So people were reaching out to us and saying things like, how do I get my hands on something that allows me to scan my property quickly and be able to tell if there is a person on it? And when we start talking about being able to find things in the wilderness, thermal is king. There's just nothing else that comes close to thermal. Now, we've done a lot of resource videos. We've created blogs on our website that dive into the different types of thermal. I'd encourage you guys to check out the Arkayne Co. YouTube channel as well, because Ethan has done a solid job of taking his firsthand experiences and then coupling them to real data and showing you guys where thermal also sometimes fails. So this is not a get thermal above all else, but what I'm trying to paint here is if you're trying to find someone like an escaped convict in the terrain and woods around you, night vision is just not gonna do it for you. And let me explain why. When you're out in the wilderness, how hard would it honestly be for something to hide from you? How often have you been walking and all of a sudden you spooked up a white-tailed deer, or you saw a squirrel that moved, but you didn't even know it was there until it moved? Your eyes can be fooled like that. And because of that, we are not necessarily the most reliable thing when it comes to identifying things, even in the daylight. Now, add in darkness, add in cover and lack of light with night vision, and also lack of color and contrast with night vision, and your ability to be able to identify things diminishes even further. What I'm getting at is, whatever is camouflage in the day will be camouflage even better at night. And so when we've done exercises like this on our YouTube channel, I can wear a t-shirt with just my skin exposed. I can disappear in the brush just a little bit. And even if you have an awesome set of binos like I have on the table here, I will not see you. You will completely disappear. And as long as you're not moving, or as long as I'm not moving, if you're trying to find me, you will never know that I'm there, because it is even easier to defeat night vision than it is to defeat your daytime eyesight with camouflage. Now, when you have something like the RH25 that I have in my hand here, that's a totally different ballgame. Now you have to try really, really freaking hard to hide from this. And if you are just hiding in the brush, I've already seen you. I know what you're doing. I know what you're holding. I know if you're armed. I know if you're unarmed. I know everything. Like, I can identify what you are and where you are like that. So that's where the strength of this thermal really comes into play. And it's why we're so obsessed, is a good word, with dual band systems. And let me define that real quick while we talk about one other world event that's currently going on in our nation and honestly up in the Northeast. A dual band system has some sort of thermal coupled with some sort of night vision. So in this particular instance, we've got a PVS-14 that we built up with an Elbit tube. I think it's an XLSH tube. Then we've got the RH25, and this is on a Mod Armory bridge. This is our favorite bridge by far that we run over at Arkayne Co. And what you're doing is creating a system that allows you to switch between night vision and thermal with literally the switch of your unit. And this mounts into your dovetail just like my binos mount onto my G24. So because of that, you're able to couple the two together. We all know that it's very capable to be running around the wilderness with a PVS-14. Putting the thermal with a PVS-14 further increases your ability to be able to detect, but also now you've got both systems. So now you can cross-reference between the two. So the other situation that I'm talking about right now is happening up in Maine. So Maine is a very, very sparsely populated state. There's a ton of open land up in Maine. So there was just a mass shooting that occurred where someone went and murdered dozens of people, and it sounds like those numbers are higher than what they originally had reported. It sounds like there's dozens of people injured as well. And at the time of recording this video, according to news, and I know we've got to play devil's advocate here and we have to be careful about just listening to the news, but according to what I've seen, he's still on the loose. So what does that mean for people that are in very rural areas that have a lot of property, woodland, fields, things like that? Well, you obviously want to be able to take care of your family. You want to be able to provide and protect your family and community. How are you going to do that if the only thing you have is a rifle with a weapon light? It's just an honest question. How are you going to find out if there's a threat on your property? The answer is you're either not going to know that he's there, or maybe you get lucky and he decides to make noise in your barn, and so something tipped you off, or your dog might get alerted to something. But even then, it's probably pretty unwise for you to descend into your barn or into your property alone with a rifle and just a white light, trying to figure out what's out there. But if you have something like this, if you've got the tool, the thermal, coupled with a PVS-14, or even just a super budget thermal. Now there's a limitation there. Anything on our website is gonna be capable enough to do exactly what I'm talking about. But if you have a thermal, at the very least, you are going to be able to scan your property and immediately know, is there something there? Is anybody out there? That noise you heard in your barn, Is that the shooter that's been escaped, that is on the run? Or is it maybe just a raccoon that knocked over something in your barn? The thermal allows us to be able to identify and then determine what our next steps are. So when we talk about being able to protect ourselves, we want to put as much time on our side as possible. We want to find out what made the noise, or find out if there's a threat as far away as possible and as soon as possible. And that's why I think it's critical that we continue the conversation about having some sort of thermal unit on tap in your arsenal. Ultimately, guys, I know this gear is extremely expensive. I know that you can easily drop $10,000, $12,000 on a setup like I have in my hands here. And in fact, this probably is about a $10,000 or $11,000 setup. But we do have units on our website that are budget friendly. We've got PG25s, they are around $2,000 for a night vision monocular. We've got the Infrared Outdoors CBL19, we have ML19s, RL25s. We've got more budget oriented optics as well that will give you the capabilities to go out and be able to scan and defend your property. So that's all I wanted to sort of touch base on. My journey with night vision started out as I thought night vision was sexy. I liked having rifles set up like this. I honestly thought that having a rifle like this with some binocular night vision was the answer. It allowed me to drive, it allowed me to run, ride my bike, hike, and navigate terrain. But as I started applying night vision into the real world, we started going hunting with it, we started trying to track game with it, you really quickly realize the shortcomings of night vision. And to me, it's sort of a crime that so many companies are just pushing night vision as if this is the superpower that you need to be able to be effective in the darkness. When in fact, if we are eliminating thermal from our crews, you are missing the biggest aspect that I think you should be considering in your group. And as soon as you start pursuing game, you're gonna see what I mean. If you play airsoft or hide and seek with your buddies with night vision, you're gonna see how quickly you can defeat it. But the thermal, you're gonna find what you're looking for. You're gonna be able to scan more efficiently. And ultimately, the technology is moving towards fusion, and that's why we've been talking about that so much. We've also been playing around with a lot of overlay devices as well. So those are technologies that are still very expensive, but kind of take the technology of binos and give you a little bit of capability with fusion and thermal overlay as well. So my journey is continuing to evolve. I continue to look at these world events, and I don't use world events to scare me, but I use these world events to be able to point me in the right direction and say, okay, if this is happening in my area, what tools do I want on hand to be able to defend my life, take care of my family and my community if need be? And more increasingly, it is leaning me towards thermal. So I hope that video was helpful to you guys. Again, check the links in the description. Consider supporting us over at Arkayne. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. We've got a lot of cool stuff over there. Ethan's sort of leading the way in the content and educating you guys on his experiences with quite literally hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear that we've purchased, run, gone through the testing, and now we can talk to you guys and educate you about it so you make good financial decisions and buy the right units at the right time. So check all of that out over there. I'd appreciate you guys subscribing and getting engaged in the comments section and getting on the website and checking out the stuff that we have over there. So as always, guys, stay well, stay safe. I will see you in the next video.